This is a brief, hopefully brief, overview of the medical ethics syllabus. So the main thing I want to talk about are the course assignments, the things that you're required to hand in or accomplish or complete. And you can see the 5 different categories listed up on your screen. So the first thing I want to talk about are the quizzes. The quizzes are divided into 2 groups. The first group feeds into the midterm. The second group feeds into the final. And you can see the topics listed up there on your screen. The most important thing to keep in mind is that each one can be taken more than once, and the highest score is the score that's recorded. So my suggestion is to take early and often, to pre-test, to post-test, to practice, to do whatever you want. Take it before we cover the material or after we start covering the material. The questions will be selected from a pool. They'll be true, false, and multiple choice. You'll have slightly different questions every time. And the important thing also to remember is that they are definitively due by the midterm and the final. Because I give you so long to complete them, I really don't allow for any exceptions. So if you are going to have a concern or worry that maybe there'll be a glitch in your internet, make sure you take them a week or more before the midterm and the final take place. So the next category is the midterm and the final. They're going to cover much the same material as the quizzes. They'll be a little longer. However, you can only take them once each, unlike the quizzes. And they'll have a few essay questions added on. The data in your syllabi, I give you 2 days for each, just in case there's some conflict. And that's the midterm and the final. So the next category are the weekly assignments. All of the weekly assignments are going to revolve around a specific case study or topic, if you like, that you'll pick off a list that should be available in D2L under course content. So the first one is to pick that topic. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. So the topic is yours. You own it. It belongs to you. You're like the class expert on the topic. So choose it well. Choose something that you'll want to live with for the entire semester. Some of the assignments are very short, like picking your topic next week's assignment. The week after, I'm asking for you to find some articles and give me the citations. You don't have to do anything else. The week after, you're going to summarize the articles. Later in the semester, you'll develop a short survey, and then over Thanksgiving break, you'll administer it to your family or relatives. So they're not all really long assignments. A few are about a page of writing. Some of them are less. So all of those little short writing assignments are leading you specifically to a final project. And the final project is going to help you apply or give you an opportunity to apply all that you've learned about your interesting topic beyond your topic. So you're not just going to be repeating what other people have said or looking at arguments that have been given by others, but actually extrapolating and taking it a little bit further, focusing on one question. And that question is, what's going to happen in the future? Specifically about your topic, of course, not just in general. So I think this is just a generally really interesting question to think about the future, but there's some specific reasons to do it in an ethics class. For one thing, if you think about the past, a lot of things that people believed about right and wrong were very different in the past than they are today. We've made a lot of progress on questions of ethics. So it just seems to suggest that perhaps we're wrong about certain things right now. We don't have everything right, but we don't know what we don't have right. So the question becomes, what will people be thinking in 100 years that's different from what people are thinking today about your topic? Will there be different laws? Will people have different common understandings about it? Will technologies affect what's going on? I'm asking you to speculate about all of that in your project. And then when you speculate, you're going to produce something. It could be a short paper of 4 pages, or it could be something more creative, either way, and share that with the class. So this is a sharing assignment, like a presentation. I had a student once in a class where I did a similar assignment actually give a lecture as if he were in the future and he was making some comments about the past, but the past that would still be our future. He was talking about his issue with regard to the law. He mentioned some fictional Supreme Court cases that had happened in his area. that he made up himself. And that was just a really interesting, good presentation. So you could consider doing something creative like that. And you can see a list up here. I write fiction. Writing a science fiction story about a technology could be really interesting, related to your topic, of course. Doing a PowerPoint presentation or creating a fictional news story from the future. All of those things are options. Or you could do the more traditional approach and write a short paper speculating about the future. So finally, class participation in an online class is generally done through the discussion boards. So the discussion boards will be available. They'll be in 2-week segments. I'll have usually more than one. This week I only have one. I'm suggesting, if you want to get a good grade here, to participate in all of them, not to make a selection of the ones you prefer. And this is the only way you can get to extra credit. So basically the idea is if you participate in all of them, but in addition you do more than that, for instance, communicating with your fellow students, offering up some thoughts about what they've said, some reflections, adding a little bit more to your posts. For instance, maybe linking to something that might be related to your topic, sharing a couple links with students about something interesting, then that can lead you to get extra credit. So here's the relative value of everything. I like everything neat, so it's really 5 categories of 20 because the midterm and final can be grouped together. So I have a late and makeup policy that is very specific and that I can just live by. I don't have to make exceptions because I want to be completely fair and to be even-handed and to do everything the same way in every case. So my policy is somewhat flexible to allow for computer glitches, etc. So quizzes, because you have so much time, none are going to be available after the due date, so please take them early. Midterm and final, I will allow makeups if those 2 days happens to be 2 days in which there's a serious problem going on that you have to handle, or some kind of conflict in your life. That's not a problem. Just provide me with documentation. If you tell me ahead of time, it's easily handled. The weekly assignments, I allow 2 free late papers. I do that because I don't want to get involved in assessing explanations for late. So I just allow 2 free. They could be because the internet was down in your house or your dorm room, or it could be something else. And you don't need to tell me what it is. But keep in mind that you want to save those for later, because if there is the internet down in your house, that won't be a reason to allow it to be late. That's what it's saved for. So make sure that you save that for later. And beyond that, I take 50% off, which is obviously pretty substantial, because if everyone does their papers late, there's not really much room to progress or to discuss some of what you're learning as you do the papers. The project is due the last week of class, so there's not a lot of room for it to be late, but if it is late, I'll take points off. And class participation, or the discussion boards, every 2 weeks. They can't really have those be late because the point of them is to interact with each other, and if you're doing it weeks after everybody else, then you're really not interacting with your fellow students. So here are my class policies. There really aren't as many in an online class, but I do have a couple that I thought I should mention. One is Turnitin. I use Turnitin for all material that's handed in. That would include if you create a PowerPoint as your final project, PowerPoints go through Turnitin. So it's important, and I will make the report available to you so you can see how you're doing on Turnitin. It's important that you focus when you're using sources, because we use sources so much in philosophy. When you're using written sources, that you focus on clearly paraphrasing everything that you are going to be discussing in your own words. And I can help you with that. If you have any issues, we can discuss it. But that's why Turnitin is so important to me. And then the second policy is how to get a hold of me. Email is the best way. In D2L, you can direct message, but I never seem to notice when I'm being direct message. So sometimes I'll notice weeks later. That's probably not the best way to contact me. The better way to contact me is to email me. I will put up a discussion board for questions, but again, if you want a quick response, email is always the best. So now let's talk a little bit about the topics, which you should be able to see under course content in D2L. So look over the topics and pick your favorite 5. That's the first week's assignment. I need you to rank them because I'm going to use a random method for deciding which topic you get. Essentially, I'm going to take random names, and the first person gets their first topic, and the second person will get their first topic if the first person didn't pick it, etc., etc. I want everybody to have a different topic so that if I ask you to, in a discussion board, to mention something about your topic, everybody will have a slightly different thing to mention. So that's why I'm doing it this way. So pick your top 5. And since you're going to stick with it the whole semester, take a little bit of care to make sure you're really interested. Look through the links, get some familiarity with the topic, do a little research on your own, and pick your top 5. And that is the end of the syllabus video.